Hello, and welcome to another video. Today, as has become tradition on this channel, we will be closing out the Brothers War set by building one last sealed deck before Phyrexia All Will Be One comes out. Typically, I will build these sealed decks from 6 leftover packs from my draft booster box, but this time I do happen to have a leftover pre-release kit. Back at the beginning of Brothers War, when I did my pre-release kit unboxing, I had a Mishra box and this Urza box, but I only opened one. Now I guess we'll see what we could have opened if we had opened the Urza box. Get your gears turning. So, since I'm building just a regular sealed deck today, I will not be including the promo, but let's have a look at it anyway and see what it is. It is a painful quandary. Alright, so we've got our 6 draft boosters. Looks like they're all here. Our first rare is Mishra's Foundry. Land, tap, add colorless. 2. Mishra's Foundry becomes a 2/2 assembly worker artifact creature until end of turn. It's still a land. 1. Tap, target attacking assembly worker gets +2/+2 until end of turn. And our retro frame card is a rare as well. Thorn of Amethyst. 2. For an artifact. Non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. next rare is Goenna, Eyes of Gaia. 2 green for a 2/3 legendary creature, Elf Druid Scout. Tap, add 2 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells or activate abilities of a creature or creature card. Whenever you cast a creature spell with power 5 or greater, put a +1/+1 counter on Goenna, Eyes of Gaia, and untap it. Our next rare is Soul Partition. 1 white for an instant. Exile target non-land permanent. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may play it. A spell cast by an opponent this way costs 2 more to cast. Ooh. And we have a mythic retro frame card. Staff of Domination. 3 for an artifact. 1 untap Staff of Domination. 2 tap, you gain 1 life. 3 tap, untap target creature. 4 tap, tap target creature. 5 tap, draw a card. Our next rare is Razorlash Transmigrant. 2 for a 3/1 artifact creature zombie. Razorlash Transmigrant can't block. 4 black. Return Razorlash Transmigrant from your graveyard to the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. This ability costs 4 less to activate if an opponent controls 4 or more non-basic lands. next rare is Brushland. Land, tap, add colorless, tap, add green or white. Brushland deals 1 damage to you. And we have another retro frame rare. Inspiring Statuary. 3 for an artifact. Non-artifact spells you cast have improvise. Alright, and we have a mythic Platoon Dispenser. 5 for a 4/6 artifact creature construct. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more other creatures, draw a card. 3 white. Create a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token. Unearth 2 white. And then we have a foil rare. Kayla's Reconstruction. X white. For a sorcery. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put up to X artifact and or creature cards with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. All right. So I think I'll start by reviewing our multicolor cards. Okay. And then let's have a look at our artifacts. So I'm leaning toward green white, maybe green black, or even Abzan if we can pull that off. So those are colors that I would be pretty happy being in. I think they are strong in this format. Granted, I haven't really played much Brothers War sealed, but in draft, I think green white and green black are really strong color pairs. I'm fairly certain we're not in blue, so I will just review that quickly. And then I'll also take a look at red. All right. I'm going to take a look at the black. I feel like if we do go into black, it's probably just a light splash. Yeah, definitely some good removal in here. Let's take a look at the white. So the white is actually pretty disappointing. Maybe that's okay. We do have our brushland, which can facilitate splashing in the white a little bit better. So yeah, let's go for green. And then let's review our rares. This one I'm not really sure about. Seems like we're not really in white anyway, so not something that we need to really think about. I think I would play it if I had a really large quantity of those low-costed creatures, but I don't know. seems a little bit better suited for draft, whereas sealed is going to be a little bit slower, and I expect to have some larger creatures. Though, that said, I know we have a lot of really cheap green guys here, but I don't really think we can justify the white. This is a little bit expensive, but a really good mana sink later in the game. The 2 white unearth cost might be a little tough, but we'll see. I think we have a chromatic star, so that should help. I would play this if we have a good amount of power stones that we can filter, and if our 3-drop slot has room for it. If we end up in white at all, I will play this. So I think this is just a 2-mana 3/1 that can't block. I would be very surprised if we could activate its ability for just 2 black. But maybe we do play it. It's at least a recurring threat that we can do. Again, like one of those mana sink things that you can do later in the game, where maybe you don't care that it costs 6 mana because you just need to keep creating creatures and applying pressure. This one, I'm really not sure how to evaluate. It's weird having these old artifacts in the new format. I'm just not really quite sure how this fits in. But similar to the statuary, I think we play it if we have room. And again, late in the game, once we have mana just sitting around, let's draw some cards. Trench Stalker really wants to do that. And we always have the threat of untapping a creature to block or tapping down their biggest attacker. So, yeah, maybe. I think this card is great. We could sort of use it as a tempo spell for our opponent, or we could save one of our own creatures or artifacts. Like maybe it's been prison sentenced, or if they're casting a removal spell to target it, or even just saving a chump blocker or something like that. Repeating an ETB effect. Yeah. This card looks super good. I don't know about that second ability, but hopefully. I think some of our prototype cards can help with that, especially if we're able to cast them for the full cost. This probably not for us, I don't think. If we ended up like mono creatures, sure. But all it really does is tax your opponent's combat tricks and spells, but it's symmetrical, so I don't know. Probably not. And then we've got like these colorless producing lands, which I would be open to playing, but I'm not quite sure how it might shake out if we are trying to extend into 3 colors. I just would hate for it to be too much of a detriment. I think I want to start sketching out the deck and then maybe have a better idea of what our curve looks like and how deep each of our colors are. With all of the unearth around, I think this card is actually pretty relevant. And it just draws a card. So I think it would be pretty beneficial to play if we have room for it. That's a lot of cards. maybe we do just simplify and then cut white altogether. It means we can't play some pretty effective tricks, but I think that'll be okay. We still have really decent removal, I think. These, we have a trick, Skyfisher Spider. So I think we'll be okay. And then Chromatic Star I think is still pretty good. It's at least a it'll still draw a card, right? It'll still draw a card if we sacrifice it to Power Stone Fracture. So that's really nice. Right. So we're not playing Platoon Dispenser. I still kind of like Scrapwork Cohort, but we wouldn't be able to unearth it unless we have Chromatic Star or Stalwart. It'd be really nice to be able to follow up something like Perimeter Patrol with this and get an extra creature. But maybe. Well. Yeah, I think it's pretty unlikely that we actually get any counters on Gwenna unless we're able to get our prototype creatures out for their full mana cost. But I do still think she's worth having around. We definitely have a lot of artifacts, but we can probably do without the Inspiring Statuary. I would still like to keep this staff if we can justify it. I like having a card draw engine to help us break out of locked up board states. maybe we only need one of these two, since they do pretty similar things. I like Obstinate Baloth. I think it's a good value as a 4/4 for 4, whereas Boulder Branch Golem doesn't cost as much green but is smaller. But if we are thinking mid to late game, having it as a 6/5 is much better. I don't know how often we would be casting it for that, but I think I like having the option. I guess I'm questioning Mineworker as well. This card I kind of slept on, I think, in the beginning of the format, but when you're paired up against very aggressive decks, it actually does a lot of work to counteract the early game damage that they can do to you. As a 2/1, it's not a very good blocker, and if your opponent has any blockers, it doesn't necessarily like to attack, but if it just sits there and does nothing but gain you 1 life per turn, you can actually extend the game quite a bit, especially if the board is just locked up and all you're doing is gaining life. Really not a bad little guy to have, but maybe we can kind of do without him. I think we have some good higher end creatures. We can gain life other ways. Like if we're in that situation where we just need to gain a little bit of life over time, Staff of Domination can take care of that if we need to. All right, we're down to 25. And I'm wondering if we could get away with 16 lands. I know if we ever want to cast our Rust Goliath for 10 mana, I don't know if going down to 16 mana is going to do that for us. Oh yeah, we do also have a Power Stone token, which we can filter through the Sentinel Stalwart. Gixian Infiltrator is just a 2/1, but we do have a few things that we would be sacrificing. It's probably between that and one of the Argothian sprites. I really like Argothian sprite. There are so many artifact creatures out there. It can really get by a lot, or it allows you to attack in situations where you normally wouldn't. And the 2+1/+1 counters for 7 mana is extremely relevant. If you get up that high, this just becomes a massive, massive threat. Especially with things like Goenna and Tower Worker. You can do that much earlier than you might think. Maybe I'm kind of talking myself out of Gixian Infiltrator. I think he's a fine creature, but something has to go. Alright. That is 24. And crap. I just realized I don't have my lands handy. And this video has gone on for quite a while, so maybe I'll just end it here. Normally I go through and add the lands and I shuffle up. I draw some opening hands and play a couple turns, goldfishing style. But yeah, I don't have my lands with me and it's getting pretty late, so yeah, I guess I will just leave it here. And I apologize for not being prepared. Should have thought of that sooner, but anyway, what do you think? Let me know. Specifically curious about your thoughts on Staff of Domination in a build like this one, or in the format in general. What do you think about my cuts? Is there something else you would have done? Did you see any other cards when we were going through the pool that you would have played instead, including a whole different color maybe? Yeah, let's talk about it. Leave a comment down below. Maybe tell me even about your experience with Brothers War Sealed. Like I said in the beginning, I really haven't played any Sealed in this format aside from the pre-release. It's just been draft for me, so that's kind of the only information that I'm going off here. So, yeah. Maybe you played in what was it? The Arena Open, I think was Sealed. I don't know, but if you played any, or even if you didn't, let me know what you think. Tell me about your experience, and yeah, let's have a conversation. And of course, please subscribe if you haven't already, and join me back here every Monday and Friday for new Magic the Gathering ASMR videos. I would love to have you along for the ride. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.